It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back. We got another video here suggested by one of you guys in the Discord community, so shout out to Unruly Line 47 for submitting this one. Now, this one is on r/dbdkillersunited, and it actually has to do with a QuietKills video that I have covered previously. And I really thought it was important to popularize and really talk about this video in particular, because I think it's very important that we have more people that engage with the killer side, especially those that claim it's super easy to actually engage with players within their MMR, of course, that are going against like very strong swips, very strong players and stuff like that. And I think that this video is very important, and it really offers a lot for that discussion. So it's titled An Interesting Video to say the least, and it says, honestly, this might be a hot take. I feel that both survivors and killers should need to play both sides to get the first 3 prestiges on any character. This would dramatically help to get the actual balanced feedback and not only opinions focused on letting your side be good while the other becomes miserable, and would help the community on having proper balanced discussions overall. So I think that that's important to really make that distinction. I think that's very important to have that discussion, because keeping in mind that if you've seen the video, which if you haven't, go ahead and check out that video on QuietKills' channel, or you can even hear me talking about the video, which we can have at the end of this one. But when you take into account what occurs in that video, right, like where QuietKills' friend was like, yo, killer's easy, y'all got everything, all this kind of stuff, and he was like, all right, well, $500 if you can win this, win one match, just $500, you win one game, and he's never played the game before, mind you. $500 if you could win a match. And obviously, spoiler alert, probably kind of didn't right? So I think that it's important to have that conversation, right? Because there's a lot of people, especially a lot of survivor mains, that genuinely believe like killer is so easy, like, oh my god, it's so brain dead, this, that, and the third. But then when you really think about it, when you really put in the time and you put in the thought process and you put in the effort, you really just don't get to really like hold that opinion anymore, because you can actually see that it's all a lie. And the thing is that that's one person, right? And it might be impossible to convince others, but like I keep saying, as well as like when we talk about these topics, we have evidence to prove these things, and now we have yet another form of evidence, right? But let's continue. So this person says that would be the worst thing they could do ever for this game's new player experience. They say, care to explain why? They respond, because forcing a new player to play a role they don't want to play is only going to frustrate them, especially for as long a time as Prestige 2 takes. So the thing is, right, you're not forcing anything, number one, okay? Number two, forcing is going to actually be worth doing that, because and I pitched the idea before where they should do something like Siege did, where you can only queue in a certain playlist or something like that, or queue with a certain amount of people until you reach a certain level on your account. So they had a queue for that, where you only queue against babies, or if they want to make it even more interesting, they can make it so like that you're queuing against bots, right? So that you have time to practice against relatively normal matches, to try to understand, like, you know, how the game flows and how to understand just the very basics, because their tutorial is not very good. But I do think that they need to have some kind of prerequisite like this, so more people can come into the game with a better understanding of how the game works, because there's a lot of people that have like thousands of hours on Survivor that know jack shit about the game. Like, they know nothing about the game. But anyway, they say regular players don't need to understand the balance of the game. It's on us and the devs to filter opinions. Because they're saying about like P2 or P3, because it's the best to make it so every single prestige like that, we need something that makes players play both sides regularly. but they're saying that we don't because regular players don't need to understand the balance of the game. So in other words, you're just a moron. Like, what do you mean you don't need to understand the balance of the game? You kind of do need to understand the balance of the game. Because if you understood the balance of the game, you would actually understand how things work. It's very low IQ to claim like just not having information makes it better for you. Like, no, it doesn't. Like, DBD is a game that is all information game. Quite literally. Like, it is all information gains through and through. From the very beginning of your journey on this piece of shit of a game to when you finally quit playing the game. It's all information. All of it. All of it, all of it, all of it. Because there's so many things that you can go up against you just don't understand. Right? Like, I can't even begin to explain how stupid this is, because it's like, I have what, 3,600 hours total? So I'm not really understanding like how we can, with confidence, like I can't even say with confidence that I even am an expert on the game at this point, because there's still stuff that Ots knows that I don't. There's still stuff that Hens knows that I don't. So even like because, or even one Pump Willie, we will even say, that has information that I don't know. But I know at least enough to be able to talk about these topics because I've been through the trenches with one of the weakest killers in the game, being Ghostface. And playing a weak killer will open your eyes to so much bobo that this game has to offer. It'll make your head spin with how much and how ridiculous it was back then, even with Made for This at its peak. Freaking Dead Hard was an exhaustion perk that was always available. Like, oh my god. Like, it was disgusting. So they say it's on us and the devs to filter opinions. Not really, honestly. Because the problem is that everybody's bitching and complaining, and then it poisons the well that the devs try to pull from. Which then means to be these dog shit changes. Unfortunately, because devs don't have a ranked mode, we can't determine any player's skill right now. That's not entirely accurate, but that's beyond obvious as to why at this point. I feel like we're just going to be repeating ourselves. Thankfully, they're adding ladder to this game, so we will be able to filter opinion better based on actual skill in the game, which I don't know if that'll really be the case, but hey, this is behavior we're talking about. You cannot take player agency away in this fashion. If someone wants, they should be able to play 15k hours of Survivor. They're as a killer, should they damn well please. So my problem is not the fact that you can choose what side. My problem is that the dumbass that plays the 15k hours on Survivor will have the dumbest hot takes on the planet, and then that feedback is just as valid as somebody who equally plays both sides, or even somebody who plays killer only. Like, all those opinions are not equal, because you know way less about the goddamn game playing one side than you do playing both, just simply. And even beyond that, what makes it worse though is that because you play both sides, you're not going to know the intricacies of one or the other. So so even then, like, you're not providing a good enough opinion, and that's the problem. The feedback is poisoned from the very get-go. And then OP responds, because playing both sides when I was a new player actually helped me like the game by a lot. So this person says, nah, this dude is a clickbait drama farmer. His content is usually uninteresting. That is honestly just purely opinion, so I can't really argue for or against it. But he's not like, at least by the definition of a clickbait drama farmer, that's just simply not really the case. You could say it's uninteresting in your opinion, that's fine. But to make the claim that it's clickbait drama, no, that's not remotely the case. Like, you can watch the video and you're getting what's on the tin. Like, it's not like you're getting baited and switched around. Oh, it's something up. No, it's what's on the screen. Like, whatever the title says is what you're getting. It's pretty straightforward. And then of course, another Survivor main, anytime anybody has anything that disproves what they think or believe, they call it brain rot shit. So I'm like, yeah, that just tells you. So let's go ahead and take a look. So this person is trying to make the claim here. Get ready for this. Get ready for this, because this is something that the DBD community loves to do when they don't like somebody. They will make up a narrative that has no basis in reality. They will make up some bullshit with no evidence. This is what they do. Like I'm telling you, they're terminally online. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, which doesn't make any sense, because if you have the internet at your fingertips, you can search this shit up. It's called fucking Google. Like, search the damn thing up. Like, why are we going around uninformed and making up baseless claims? Use your fucking noggin and use your goddamn brain and be like, let me actually look and think with my own mind about what the hell is being said. So let's go ahead and give it a read. So this person says, I remember this guy is a piece of ish, but I forget why. So then that means he's not, then, because you don't have any evidence there. They say IDK if he's homophobic or rape. Jesus Christ. But I know he's a clickbaiter at the minimum. I used to watch him a while back, but stopped unsubbed. Yeah, well, yeah, rest in piss. You won't be missed. Like, get out of here, man. Nobody cares. You're making up claims, and then you don't even remember why you're bitching about it in the first place. You're an idiot. This person says he's a... Oh, hell no. I'm gonna try to mispronounce it because I don't need YouTube to, lose its mind, but we'll say bigot, who tries to pretend he's neither liberal or conservative. Damn good at DBD though. What? But yet they have no clip, no evidence, no nothing. I mean, I'm like, what are we talking about, bro? Huh? What? What are we talking about? This person says, why is he one of those? I haven't seen him say anything in that way, of course. If he's actually a one of those, I don't want to be subscribed. But that's the thing, right? When you have dumbasses that spout out bullshit, it misinforms another dumbass, and then they'll start thinking it too. Like, think for yourselves. Like, Jesus Christ, do your own freaking research. They say, give me the proof, man. I don't know if QK is one of those. I don't want to support him. Post a link. Then it says edit. If you don't post a link or give me something to go off of, all I can assume is that you're making things up. So what's your proof? I can't find any myself. Exactly. And it's egregious to me that, like, this is what they resort to. This is the type of shit that they're interested in. They're not interested in having a conversation. They're not interested in trying to actually, understand the game better or have an actual logical standpoint about anything. All they care about is bitching, crying, complaining, and making up shit. Like, they're the kings of delusion. They will make up anything because to them fiction is reality. They do not care if there's evidence to support things. We've seen this before in the DVD community. We've spoken about another Survivor main creator, about two of them actually. One of them was talking about Minskull, which, mind you, he never provided any evidence of what was stated. He never showed a clip of what was stated. He decided to make up and strawman what Minskull said and then argued against it. And I'm like, but that's not what was said. So, like, you're not showing a clip of what was said. So now you're trying to make people believe what you think by you lying about what was said. Like, that's ridiculous. You had another Survivor main content creator who decided to say that, oh, but the blight streak means it's killer-sided. So then I said, okay, well, how come it's only one player doing this with, mind you, the amount of hours and skill on that character alone above everybody else, going against people who probably are not prepared or don't have the skill to face that, let alone the fact that a streak is not commonplace in the community, or else like One Pump Willie's content would not be as what do you call it, popular, I would guess, because it wouldn't be commonplace. Like that's what makes it interesting and popular, is the fact that he's using characters and getting streaks when it's not commonplace to have that happen. And their only response was, quote, I don't care about that. So what do you think we're working with here in this community, right? Like, nobody wants to hear anything logical or anything that disproves what they're saying. Like, it goes without saying, right? Let's continue. So they say, yeah, no thanks, there's a bunch of reasons. Something like this would hurt way more than help if it does at all, which I'm not going to read all that. But So they say, sorry, I'm too tired to truly answer this. I'll do my best. And they says it doesn't need to completely lock something, just make the grind a bit harder. And if someone already plays both, it won't affect them either. This change is mostly focused to make some players, for some reason, refuse to touch the other side to leave their comfort zone for a bit, while incentivizing new players to play both sides regularly, which is what I've been saying. You know what I mean? Like, that in itself, I think, is a positive thing. It's not like we're, like I said, like you can still play the game, but do it like similar to Siege, where like you have your kind of onboarding process where you go against bots or something like that, or you play with other people that are also starting the game, queue them together, have them learn, and then you can put them into the regular queue with the rest of them, because that just makes sense to do that. Because a game that has this much information in it, with this much amount of, like, I think it's like 300 something perks with different effects, like at least like 30 or 40 or whatever the hell amount of killers, like, that all have different abilities. So it's a lot of things to learn. It's like you got to ease them in. You can't like shock them with all the stuff. It's going to be really confusing and overwhelming. You need to ease them in. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's a part of the onboarding process, the tutorial process. And you could even make it so they get like a blood point bonus, like a million or something like that at the end of that time, or like a couple mil or whatever whatever you want. Just so that you know, you have the onboarding process. They can easily, you know, enter the rest of the game with a bit more knowledge and have a little bit more experience under their belt, than kind of just throwing them into the deep end with nothing. That's mainly what I'm getting at. So they say, if I'm gonna be honest, if I was a new player, saw perks X, Y, and Z are super good, but I can't get them because I'm forced to play killer, then I'm playing a different game. To be honest, I don't think that's really what was stated in the discussion. I don't really think that that's what he was saying, to be honest. That's not what I got out of it. They say, I know how infuriating that would be, but you know, the irony of it is, you can't get them unless you spend money. So either you spend money or you spend like 100 hours grinding your, you know, eerie shards, basically, is what it is. So they can bitch and say, oh, but I have to play killer, and it's like, but either that or you're spending hard-earned cash, or you're spending 100 hours to get perks. So, you know, pick your poison. You know what I mean? The Ubisoft philosophy, right? They say you're locking perks behind playing a side they may not want to play, only enough to fill the requirements and never touch the role again. But that's already what they do anyway. You know, they like to claim like, oh, but that's gonna happen. It's like, but they already do that. You know how many Survivor mains only play killer to finish challenges? They already do that. So that's not an argument necessarily, because that already happens. That doesn't make a difference. Imagine a game like Siege. Like, look, they're trying to say Siege locking an op until you play a different one. But that's inaccurate as well, because bro doesn't play Siege then, because that's what they do on Siege. You have to buy the op with renown, right? And then to get renown, you have to play a bunch of matches to collect enough to get renown, or you spend money, hard-earned cash, right, to get the ops, which is like 20 bucks if you want all of them, or 10 or 5 or whatever the case may be. So no, that's still not accurate. So sorry, doesn't work like that. How much do you think the grind would increase? I was talking about something, instead of needing 2 hours, you need 2.5 or 3. It's not much of an increase, which is a good point. So yeah, I mean, they can keep bitching, but another Survivor main, it looks like they're joining the conversation here. They said, this was so fake and stupid. While kind of funny, it's clearly not to be taken seriously, as most of QuietKills content is, quote, which, mind you, this is not me saying it, this is what I'm reading, quote, a rage bait killer main crybaby complaints, I guess. So I don't know. Seems like it just seems like copium to me. I just think a lot of people just refuse to really acknowledge, like, this is something that people should engage with. This is something that is worth bringing into the conversation, because they love to say that it's fake. They love to say whatever the case may be, right? because they're trying to make the claim like, oh, they're using these buzzwords and deep terminology. I'm like, it's not deep terminology. Deep terminology is using something that only DBD players would understand. Like, you could say, oh, if bro said, oh, I got fat shamed at this rock, you go, okay, that's a DBD player. Like, he's a liar. Because people outside of the DBD space are like, you know, obviously a fat shame is something way different outside of DBD. Within DBD, a fat shame is when you're trying to like go through a gap that you think you can pass through, but you can't because your character's too wide. Right? That's something that's a deep cut. You go, wow, like that's an OG there. Like, that's something that only DVD players would know. But something like anti-camp, anti-tunnel, or pallet density, those are easily explained. Like, QuietKills could easily have said, oh yeah, that's the anti-camp, or oh yeah, that's the anti-tunnel, or oh yeah, that's the pallet density or the pallet amount. But mind you, at least when you see the video, like from the very beginning, I didn't hear bro say pallet density. He said, why is there so many pallets? Which is something that you can just see by you playing the game yourself. So like, they can cry about it, but it's like, the only reason they're mad is because it disagrees with what they think. And they're not really sitting there and actually acknowledging like what the reason of it is. Like, they're not acknowledging why that even is the case. That's my point. But I want to hear what you guys think, of course. Check out the other channels for my main channel where I cover different games and stuff like that in video essay format, stuff like that. Check it out, hit the sub. Also check out my Rivals videos, man. Check out those Rivals. I love Marvel Rivals, and if you do too, go ahead and sub to that channel, man. Support it, and consider becoming a member on YouTube or even on Patreon if you want to support me directly, and or even subbing on Twitch. And I will see you guys in the next one. All right, we're gonna shout out all the members. So shout out Patreon Crow Vader. So shout out to Raz Makai, Cozy with Brando, Evil Blade 17 as well. Also Kargan Falcon, Dole Whip, Noxus, Zero Mocker, Christian, and Crow Vader. Appreciate you guys, man. If you want your name read off at the end of every video, you can go ahead and become a member. With one of the tiers is the bonus you get. So appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.